Hey, what's up?
Hallo.
What's up? Wie geht's dir?
I'm setting the live streaming.
Ah, okay.
That's cool. That's cool. Why I'm start feeling sleepy?
Why is that?
I start feeling sleepy.
You start feeling sleepy?
Yeah,
It's midnight and you're sick.
yeah,
Have you take some antibiotics and anti-inflames?
yeah. I take some.
Yeah, okay. You should do the injection. It's better, at least at the beginning.
Oh, that's I'm really scared of that. Yeah.
But it's helpful too, man. You will get feeling soon, as close as much.
That injection I was that kind of doing on hand, not on the ass. That
On the butt.
because I'm fat, I'm fat, that the vein on the hands is not that much, and it's a very difficult to do. So every time, 3-4 times, oh shit.
Yeah.
Hi Sean. Hi.
Hi guys. Hi guys.
Hey,
Hi
Sean,
Isaac.
what's up?
Hi
Hey,
Yofu.
what's
Hi,
up, man?
what's up? I'm driving. I'm driving now. Driving.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
Cool.
Because I heard the noise. I thought you're on the plane.
Yes. Yes, I'm driving.
Driving the plane.
Driving the plane.
Right. So just the three of us.
Huh?
Well,
Just the three of us. The guest is not coming, right?
Yeah, I've
Guess
just
they didn't come yet.
sent them a message.
Okay.
They coming.
So what's the date about the demo days? Sunday, Saturday.
Sunday. No, Sunday. Sunday of the I think of the 11-3.
How many project?
Three.
They have three projects.
But the three projects is for one guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, one guy.
I see. So the whole demo day just for one guy, but the three project.
Yeah, three projects, but one guy. Each project will have like 10 minutes, I think. It's like that, beautiful.
Okay, I understand. Okay. Okay, I mute.
Enjoy the workshop. Are you gonna stay here and listen?
Somewhere over the rainbow. Let's have some music since there's still 2 minutes.
Yeah, maybe a chill one.
Let me check. Check.
Maybe you should turn on the BBC intro. The BBC intro for the news. It's like awesome.
Where's the guest?
I don't know. They might join in a bit.
Oh, maybe they have copyright. I can't. Where are they? Where is this guys? What are they doing?
Hi guys, can you hear us?
Hey guys.
Yeah, what's up?
Hi, nice
What's up?
to meet you guys.
Hi, how are you? Okay, sorry, we're setting everything up.
Yeah, all good. We are waiting for you. And for
Okay,
the,
good.
yeah, for the
We live
procedure
yet?
later, I will have a short opening, and then when we say, oh, welcome, then welcome. Okay.
Okay, hang on. We okay, then we just make the proper screen share, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Let's do
Cool.
it.
So is it recording, UFO?
Oh, it's me, Yaki Hong. I'm not the host.
Oh, okay.
Wait a second. We need to
Yeah, no worries.
recording.
Just out of curiosity, where you guys from? Augustine.
From Argentina.
Argentina.
We already have the cup.
Argentina. La Campione.
That great. I
just
want
noticed
to talk about that
Yeah.
behind you. That's cool.
Yeah, La
Yeah.
Campione. La Campione del Mondo.
Yeah.
We wanted to put the Argentina shirt, but we didn't want to make it that.
Yeah. You guys proud of it.
Yeah, actually, like we are not that football fans, but here the country just stopped it. I think there's no other way to connect all the people, like 45 million people, with an event, and I think that that became yeah.
Yeah,
It's also
it's awesome. Awesome. Also, congratulations.
yeah. We have 50% poverty, but that's okay.
So you can start, Yufu, no?
Wait, let me check.
Yep.
Okay, let's start recording.
Okay, let's do it. There you go.
Hi guys, welcome to Hack-nostr-on Workshop. Hack-nostr-on is hosted by Yaki Hon and sponsored by DoraHacks, which aims to encourage more ideas, applications, and problem solving. Yaki Hon is a Nostr-based decentralized content media protocol which supports free curation, creation, publishing, and reporting by various media. DoraHacks is a global hackathon organizer and one of the world's most active developer incentive platforms. It creates a global hacker movement and provides toolkits to help developers around the world to team up and fund their ideas and build those via hackathons, bounties, grants, and more. And today, we're so glad to have N.O.M.A.D, this builder, to share with us about their insights in innovative NIPs that enhance users' experience and unlock limitless possibilities. So let's welcome this
Yeah, so
200 guy from
actually,
N.O.M.A.D.
Actually, Augustin and Mariano has submitted 3 projects, and each one has its own idea. I think it's a NIP and relay and the client side. So
Yes.
for today workshop, and we're gonna do the general. We're gonna base on N.O.M.A.D, and they're gonna share the experience for all these 3 projects and how they get motivated to do these 3 projects. So you guys have the time to enlighten us. So enjoy the workshop.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation. So, well, we are glad to participate. Actually, we are very excited, and we prepared a presentation because we, as you said, we had 3 projects. We are going to talk more about N.O.M.A.D, which doesn't include all the projects actually, but we can just tell you more about how we become, like, we didn't know the format before. So I don't know if it's kind of like a podcast or something like that, or it's a conversation, but we already made a presentation that we can share you. Should I share the screen?
Yeah, you can. You go.
So where is it? Yeah, here it is. So do you see this? Is it sharing right now?
Yeah, we can see. We can see. Good luck.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna like slideshow. Okay.
It would be awesome if you introduce you guys yourself to the community. So, and good luck with that.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you. We already have a community actually in Discord. We are actually part of La Crypta that we're going to talk something about that. But first of all, we're going to talk about N.O.M.A.D, which it's like kind of a gameplay with the words, kind of Nostr, which is Nostr optimizations for modernized advancements and development, which is N.O.M.A.D. So before we talk, we would like to talk about our background, and you're free to talk or ask whatever you want. We are Bitcoiners, like very, very hard Bitcoiners, like 10 years Bitcoiners. Actually, we founded a Bitcoin exchange back there in 2013 here in Argentina. We think like, at least I think that Argentina will become the first nation to experience hyper-Bitcoinization. It has all the needs, you know. It will have 100 inflation rate annually. So we are really drawn to Bitcoin as not only as an investment, as a necessity.
Survival.
So, yeah, exactly. It's just survival. So we've been developing blockchain technology, Solidity. We are not Bitcoin maximalists, but we do think that Bitcoin is you have Bitcoin and then you have crypto, you know, you have a lot of innovation going on that it can just make us improve and actually inspire us. But we have like kind of a priority there. So we have like 40 years combined industry here with research. I'm a front-end developer. Mariano is excellent, better than me. It's a back-end developer with a lot of expertise and professional. And we're founders of La Crypta, which is kind of a community-driven development hub. Like it's kind of a software factory, community-driven. It's kind of weird. We made it because we wanted to start developing. We always develop open source projects. We are gonna organize as well a hackathon here. Here locally. So we are kind of like more targets to locals, you know, to Argentina. Our tools are provided everywhere else. They can be used, they're open source and free for everyone to just clone it or whatever. They don't even have a license, or I don't know what.
No, they don't.
They are free to use them and copy them. And actually what we think is like sometimes to make a strong community, you need to get close to the people. And sometimes that will happen. We're going to cover that forward. But sometimes if you're from the same country, you have the same language or whatever, it's easier to link with the people. So we're going to present the N.O.M.A.D project. We have 3 core pillars. One is strong basis, which is kind of the documentation. The community, we have some badges, some NIPs to propose. And the thing of consensus, which we think is the flagship, it's the most important thing. Before diving in Nostr, we actually made a proper research. We took like 3 months to start making the whole research. We didn't, the track NIPs, we took it seriously. So it's not that we just thought about a use case and we figured out how to just propose a NIP. We actually took like really 3 months to read all the code, all the NIPs, all the pull requests, everything else to make a proper improvement. So we just take this thing seriously, guys. So most of the talking is going to be done by him because he actually is the mastermind. I am more like, I don't know, like
Interfacing.
The interfacing. Yeah, I'm a programmer as well, of course, but we make a lot of brainstorming. I just experience the things I'm kind of the link of the community, you know, and we build together all the stuff. So
all right, so let's get going.
I'm sorry if you guys want to say something.
If there's any questions, feel free to just chime in. Okay, so
it's all good.
Okay, cool. All right, so there's this thing called, and I always mispronounce this, Chesterton's fence. It's sort of a maxim, and paraphrasing, it basically says, do not remove a fence until you know why it was put up in the first place. And this articulates with what Agustin was just saying. We don't go to our community and tell them how to do things. We get to a community, we get the feel for the community, we investigate and research the community and try to look for solutions that align with the community's underlying principles. So as Agustin mentioned, we spent 3 months investigating Nostr. And when we say that, we mean drilling down into the protocol, into the implementations, into the pull requests, both merged, rejected, outstanding. We looked at all the issues, trying to get a feel for what a community from the developer's perspective required and really was looking for in a way. So that's where we are coming from. On our first pillar, which is this sort of strong basis, what we mean by this is that nowadays it's kind of weird how you approach Nostr from a designer's or a researcher's perspective. You get the awesome Nostr page, you have the NIP's repository, but it's kind of weird how you navigate around that because, you know, there's no unified standard. try looking for a tag, and you will see that the tags are formatted differently in different NIPs. Each NIP has their own coding standards, so to speak, their own markup standards.
Even wording,
Yeah. It gets kind of weird. We don't believe we should go overboard with linting and stuff like that. We're not looking to establish a sort of bureaucracy, but what we are trying to do is reduce cognitive load so that anyone trying to dive into the more hardcore aspects of Nostr can have an easier time doing it. And what we propose to do is pretty much apply linting strategies, have GitHub actions that will automatically apply those, normalize and allow for easier linking between the pages. And in order to ensure long-term stability and sustainability, we are planning to define linter-specific semantic rules that will analyze the wording, for instance, and detect whether you're referring to a tag or a kind or whatever, and it will automatically apply styling there as needed.
It's good mention to say that it's not that this is an invention from us. This is
No,
an industry standard.
This is very common in the industry as a whole. I mean, you develop some standards and you just apply them in order to focus on what's important, which is the content, and that goes both for instance, NIP writers and also NIP readers. If you have like a consistent interface, it's much easier to jump around and get to the gist of it. So we already started developing some of this.
I'm sorry. Those are the links.
Yeah, those are links.
Those are pull requests.
Those are pull requests we made. Two of them are merged. The one's outstanding, and the other one we just closed in order to propose a better alternative. But we already started doing this. It's in this frame that we went over all the NIPs in the repository. Any questions so far? I'm gonna take it as a no. All right. So
are you guys there?
Yeah. We're just gonna do the question at the end of the workshop.
Okay, no worries. We just wanted to make sure there's another one.
We're just gonna do the question.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So moving on. Second pillar. This is more of the community side of NIPs. Again, this whole endeavor is focused on NIPs, and when we say community, we mean community targeted NIPs. Okay, there are 4 new NIPs that we are proposing, and those are immutable badges, ping pong events, localization. I'm going to dive a bit on that, and basically what can be considered sort of a inter-community trust model. Let's move on. Badges. Okay, so we already have badges in Nostr. The thing is that the way they are specified allows the badge issuer to change the definition of a badge after the badge being awarded. Now, that's great. That enables a lot of use cases, but it's also not necessarily the right tool for certain cases, like for instance achievements, co-ops, certifications, stuff like that. What we really need in those instances is a sort of non-transferable NFT. Like if I give Agustin a certification, I don't want Agustin to be giving that certification away, and Agustin doesn't want me to change what that certification means. So
actually, the experience in Web3, that's the most common use case. Like you can't change the definition of something. It's like immutable. It should be immutable, because otherwise, when you put it in your profile, it can be switched to whatever else. Like the owner just did it, so it's kind of like necessary.
And that enables a lot of use cases. The problem is that it leaves a lot of other use cases behind. So what we propose to do is basically have an alternative definition of a badge that will not allow you to change its meaning. What we hope to gain with this is better traction with the Web3 community in bringing them over to Nostr. Now, there are 2 proposals. One is basically a ground-up rewrite of how badges are defined, awarded, and shown in your profile. that is very very generic, and it includes the current use case. And the other one is sort of a lit solution that basically embeds the badge definition within the award. So when you're awarded whatever badge, you know exactly what you're getting awarded. There are pros and cons. This second solution can be seen as sort of a soft fork. You can start using it, and you will have no functionality degradation until eventually everybody moves over, and now you have enhanced functionality. This is something that the Bitcoin guys
Bitcoiners are listening. This is quite similar. This resembles like a soft fork, actually, because it's backward compatible, and to be able to implement it in a client is actually trivial. It's not that difficult.
Yeah. Okay, so that's immutable badges, the first NAP we present. The second one is ping pong events. Now, ping pong events are sort of like, I don't know if people are old enough to remember MSN Messenger, but in MSN Messenger, you could send a nudge. And when you nudged someone, their screen would shake and it would get their attention. That was our inspiration for this. And the idea is to have a more online sort of interaction between people. You can think of this as mainly, I don't know, just instances that just happen to occur, or happenings, or whatever. There was this artist, I failed to recall its name, that would just do a performance, and that performance would be poof, gone, and that was his art.
Can be, I'm thinking right now, like you use a ephemeral event, which is like it just goes away, and you could use it just raising a hand in a conversation, or an emoji when you're in a Twitter space, or Nostr nests. Something that is go right there.
Yeah, and the idea here is that you get back and forth communication, like I send a ping event and you acknowledge that ping event with a pong event, so to speak. It's a really easy NIP, but we do believe that it will drive online engagement further. There are also concerns like flooding, like if someone keeps pinging you, but we already have mechanisms for that. We can whitelist, we can blacklist, we can leverage an IP13, which is proof of work.
Rate limiting.
Rate limiting, yeah, there are already solutions for that. All right, so moving on. Localization. This is an interesting one. So there's this NIP.
Actually, I'm sorry. How many of you are native English speakers? Are you everyone of you are English speakers?
No, none of us is a native English speaker.
No.
None of you.
Okay,
cool. All right. So
we come all around the world.
Speaking Spanish.
Yeah. So here's the thing. There's this NIP39. NIP39 allows you to establish your identity in a different platform. So for instance, you would use NIP39 to say, hey, this public key is that Twitter user. Okay. In order to do that, you need to tweet a specific string that says, I confirm that I am in possession of this Nostr public key. Okay. Now here's the catch. That's the only NIP, at least as far as I recall, that prescribes an end user centric string, and it does so in English. Okay, so say you have your Twitter feed in I don't know, whatever, Polish, and you start looking at the Twitter feed and suddenly see a message in English. That's really jarring.
That's really weird. Really,
it's weird.
Yeah.
But
it looks like you're being hacked. Like,
yeah,
what is this?
It kind of looks weird. It's uncomfortable. It's not really inclusive to other cultures. But also, there's a moral dilemma there. What you are actually doing when you are effectively treating that is establishing a contract. And what NIP39 is asking you to do is to basically sign a contract in a language you don't natively speak. Now, it's already hard enough to bring certain people into the crypto ecosystem, to have them also need to trust in a language they don't understand. So what we propose to do here is simply extend NIP39 so that you can specify what language are you going to use in that contract. And there's a list of prescribed languages, or not prescribed, but actually like
Proposed,
pre-proposed languages, and there were some translations.
Like
I'm sure there.
something like
Yeah,
that.
20,
Yeah.
I think of 15, 20 languages. They just being run through Google Translate, so they're probably butchering all the languages there. But anyway, it's a start, and we expect this to be a living standard. And in order to, as an example of how we can justify this, in this very hackathon, there are projects presented, for instance, entirely in Chinese. So these things are already happening in real life, and we're just trying to bridge that gap. Again, this is not a hard NIP to implement in and of itself. There are certain technical details, but those are easy to get over. Lastly, in an extended NIP 05, this actually leverages NIP 39 again. So again, to recall, NIP 39 basically establishes that a single public key is that other user in that other external platform. What we found weird is that there's no way of saying, hey, I'm also this other persona in Nostr. So you have NIP 05, where a community can vouch for you and say, hey, yeah, this public key is this kind of short user on our end. But you have no way of announcing that in your profile. You do have ways of announcing you are someone else on an external entity, on an external platform, sorry, but you have no way of saying that in Nostr.
No, actually, I'm sorry. Like in Iris, they got implemented that you use the metadata of the 0 kind of your profile, and you say like NIP 05, but that's not a standard. It's quite like another field, and it's just one. So here you would like extend to multiple identities or vouching entities for your persona.
Yeah, what we propose to do here is extend NIP 39 so that you have a new claim type, which is simply Nostr, and where you would say, hey, I am that user on that community. And what you gain by this is basically you leverage inter-community trust. So if community A trusts you enough to add your alias to their well-known JSON, and community B does so as well, you have a way of communicating that in your profile exactly the same way you would do for, I don't know, Twitter or Mastodon or GitHub or whatever. So another way of looking at this is that this kind of closes the identity loop. You say, hey, that community trusts me, and you announce that in your profile, and that community vouches for you by adding your public key to their well-known JSON. Okay.
And actually, I think this is really important because we think that what would happen with Nostr is like we're gonna get a lot of spam.
Yeah.
And to reduce that spam, I think like users will need some verification from multiple organizations, multiple communities. Most of the people just access Nostr. The first thing they do is get Albi, or sometimes they get registered to Iris, and they immediately get some like entity validation, but they lose it right away whenever they just go and change the profile or ask for Plebster or whatever. So what this does is, okay, you just can have multiple identities NIP 05 that just that know and trust you. That would be like the best way to verify yourself.
All right. So moving.
Hang on, sorry, yeah. I'm sorry. It's good to say, it's worth mentioning that all these NIPs that they are already written, they're already proposed, and you can check all this in it's N.O.M.A.D. We want to send you
the links are at the very end.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Cool. So moving on to the main event, validators, also known as infinite kinds or Nostr smart contracts. Here we go.
This is a very important. I want to pitch this. This is a really game-changing thing. It looks simple. I know the first thing you see it probably seems simple, but actually it's a game changer.
So here's the idea. There are certain problems that all distributed systems or almost all distributed systems share. The first one is that a truly decentralized system behaves a bit like a multiverse, where each agent has their own view of the world, of the universe. So agent A has a view of the world, and agent B has a completely different one, not necessarily consistent between themselves. So finding a consensus in a distributed system, solving the Byzantine agreement problem, it's a challenge in and of itself. And that's where Bitcoin comes in and kind of solves that. The other common problem that you will find is that there needs to be a way to leverage community input. Okay, there needs to be a protocol or something that will mainly steer community input into an agreeable resolution for everyone involved. Otherwise, what you get is communities splitting apart and internal kind of quote unquote civil wars within the protocol, within the system. So we found that Nostr is showing some growing pains. It has experienced a huge growth in the past few months, and it's starting to show some growing pains. For instance, there's a NIP reviewing bottleneck in and of itself, and this is only going to get worse. For instance, in the past month, there have been 10 closed and 14 new issues. So that leaves behind four net issues that are accumulating. And there's also the issue of criteria centralization. Credit to Fiat-Joff. He actually did address this issue. He said that it was an issue, it was a problem, and there needed to be a way of kind of externalizing consensus to the community.
Yeah, make a proper like decentralized governance or something.
Exactly.
You need a method to make this proper, you know?
Yeah, and again, it has to do with this leveraging of community input. One thing that we are seeing nowadays is that different clients may unilaterally start implementing NIPs on their own. This is an example of a Snort poll. The poll has kind 6969. And there's actually a pull request for this. And in that pull request, there's a very interesting discussion being held. But since there's no, or evidently there wasn't a satisfactory resolution, an agreeable resolution, they went ahead and just programmed the NIP themselves, which is fine to begin with. But the problem is that you start to get desynchronization between what the standard says and what the actual client ends up doing. And this is reminiscent of the browser wars of the early 2000s, where different browsers would just implement different parts of the standard, whatever way they wanted, until eventually an agreeable solution was found through the Web3 consortium. W3.
I'm sorry, this is serious because this starts like most, if we will lose consensus, this moment that it's infancy, it can be serious right in the future, because you're going to accumulate a lot of different ways to call things, because the thing that they are using or implemented an NIP that it's not already there or it became a standard, it defeats the purpose of the NIPs. Like anybody can do whatever they like. So it's fine, but you don't have consensus.
It's fine to do whatever you like. The thing is that you become disconnected between the specification and the reality, and that's something we should avoid. Okay, so what are validators and how do they tackle this sort of problem? Well, the idea of validators is that we would like to have sort of this multiverse conception without with a way of agreeing, with a way of manufacturing consensus in this multiverse setting. Validators also allow for stateful behavior. In Nostr, there's no way of expressing property within the protocol. You can always just refer to an external property provider, but there's no internal way of defining property.
For example, I'm sorry, the best use case that happens with NFTs, at least with the Web3 communities, that they are able to transfer their NFTs or badges or tokens or whatever you like.
There's also the issue of truth distribution, like again, different agents can have different views of the world. So here's the idea of what a validator is. A validator is a piece of code, and you send a message with that piece of code. Okay, that message is an immutable message. Okay, it cannot be replaced. It's not ephemeral. It just stays living in the relays. Okay, it's always there. And what you do then is you refer to that validator by ID, by event ID, in a new event. And when you do that, what you're promising is, hey, this event that I just wrote is valid according to that validator over there. So now clients can, if they so choose, download that code and run it against the event and validate and say,
sorry, yeah, the event you send, the content includes the code.
The very first one.
Yeah, the very first one, validator, yeah.
Yeah, the validator, once you publish that, the content of that validator, of that message, is the code. So clients can download that code and execute it against that event. Now, there's that's like the executive summary of what a validator is. There's a lot of technical issues and details, and those are all detailed in the quite extensive NIP for validators. But there are some general principles that we try to abide to, like, for instance, separating praxis from definition. And what we mean by this is that you have the core validator NIP, which establishes what the execution dynamic should be, what the expected behavior and the functionality and the execution environment should be, and how you're going to communicate those things. And then there are the VIPs. The VIPs are the validator improvement proposals. And we wanted to have like a sort of separate namespace for those so that we can, we don't need to unnecessarily pollute the NIP namespace. And we also use capabilities. Capabilities are basically tags where you say this validator requires, for instance, access to the internet, or this validator requires this or that functionality. Validators are not tied to a specific programming language. The first one we propose is JavaScript, but you could propose any language you want. And if you hate yourself enough, you can have a validator written in COBOL, for instance.
WebAssembly, whatever you like. Yeah,
Haskell, whatever.
Solidity, if you like.
Yep.
That's the thing we were mentioning before. I think it's a game changer because you can just bring your code wherever you are, or even you can use another blockchain. We're going to talk about the use cases then later, but you can just connect to whatever you like. So your validation could be, okay, never mind. I'm not.
We're gonna get to that.
Forward.
So that's the general idea. Then that's the gist of it. Now, the practice part of this is you can look at validators as an enabling technology for sort of like an open sandbox for people to test new ideas in a way. They can be like an alternative to NIPs. Instead of writing an NIP off the bat, you can start by writing a validator and say, hey, does this validator do what I expect it to do? Is this sort of useful enough to provide, to require an NIP? And in a way, validators become an alternative, like in the sense of we can keep using NIPs for, let's say, core changes to the Nostr protocol and sort of relegate the application level logic to validators. So instead of flooding NIPs with, hey, I would like this kind to have this format and do blah, whatever.
Which, by the way, they are already overwhelmed. So
they're kind of overwhelmed, yeah. So instead of doing that, application can be implemented via validators, and we can use the NIPs to pretty much talk about the protocol. Can think about HTTP versus HTML. There are two different layers. So some use cases for this. The very first one, which is really easy, is user-learned NIP implementation. There are certain NIPs that can be implemented via validators. You don't need to actually modify the client. A client that already supports validators will immediately support user-learned implementable NIPs. There's an example in our validator NIP proposal for how you can implement NIP 13, which is proof of work, within a validator. It's really easy.
Just imagine you have an event and you have all the code that just makes the proof of work. So you just point that direction. Actually, like the polls, you can do a validation that validates the schema of the event. So that way, what we said about the infinite kinds is that you're able to just play around or whatever you like and just point to that validation. And anybody could use that validation because it's a mutable code. So you're able to use kind of smart contracts inside Nostr, which, by the way, it's really cool because you're able to, okay, one of the examples are token transfers, like an RC. You can even validate an event is included in another blockchain. So there are really cool things you can do with a simple tool.
Yeah, and for instance, the NIP, the validator NIP shows a number of use cases. One of them was user-learned NIP implementation, but there's also tokens. You can implement tokens with a bunch of JavaScript code. You can validate that a message is valid from a certain block number onwards. Bitcoin, for instance.
If it's spam, if it has many likes, if it's a friend of yours, whatever.
There's a universe of possibilities that now becomes available through the usage of validators. Now, there's some challenges to this, just not all, roses. There's the issue of performance, for instance. And the idea here is that this acts as a sort of community-driven signaling, so to speak. Because if you have a validator and people start using that validator and it gets traction, now clients have a proof positive that that validator is actually useful to the community. So they can just implement that sort of inside the client itself, and validators are fine with that. So far as what you implement is functionally equivalent to what's posted on the relay, you're fine. You can just internalize that and embed that validator within the client's code. You don't need to actually go and fetch it and run a virtual machine or anything. You can just do it yourself natively. There's also the matter of security and trust, and who trusts one validator. Well, you can simply just say, hey, these are the only validators that I trust. I only trust, I don't know, say, spam protection validator. I trust validators written by friends of mine. And those are the only ones that I'm willing to run. And
validators published by another entity you trust or whatever.
Yeah, you can transfer trust away. And from a practical perspective, you can always sandbox code and have it run in an isolated environment. And you don't need to fear that code jailbreaking and spilling over the rest of your client code.
For example, you can just put in a web. We actually did this with our lab. So you can just like isolate it in a web worker or inside a virtual machine or whatever you like. That's why we mentioned about the performance, because that could be like low performance, but you can always upgrade it or embed it if that's a suitable need.
Yep. All right. So moving on.
Do you have any questions here? Like it would be nice to have any kind of feedback or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna preserve the questions at the end of the workshop. So.
Okay, cool. Okay,
yeah,
thanks.
So the roadmap, what we did, what we want to do, and what we'll continue doing. Nowadays, we're basically at the midpoint of the second milestone there. We already did most of our research. There's always more to research, of course. We already raised some PRs. The idea is that once the hackathon is done, we're going to start raising PRs against the Nostr protocol NIP's repository. We're also going to raise PRs against clients, specific clients, saying, hey, this is how you would implement, I don't know, the localization NIP or the validators NIP.
The batches or the other, yeah,
whichever.
exactly.
We already have a GitHub pipeline internal, which we use internally for documentation standards. We need to develop a semantic formatter, for instance. That's what we're going to do next. We plan on developing an interactive documentation site. Think Swagger, for instance, but for Nostr, where you can not only read about the protocol itself, the NIPs that are available, but also can I use it as a playground, an end-on playground, or an actually code playground, where you get, you know, like your console and you can work around and then try to send messages from there. There's also the huge issue of the validator ecosystem. We're planning on developing a validator dashboard, something like ThirdWeb's dashboard. I don't know if you are familiar with ThirdWeb, but think of a validator marketplace, so to speak. You will also get a sandbox similar to Remix or something like that, where you can just, you know, run your validator there and test it.
It could be like easy tools, like online tools where you don't have to download or install anything. You could just do it right away on your browser and just create your validator and just test it and say, I don't know, just as easy as saying return true. Okay, that's your validator. That's your validator code. Okay, you can just test it. You can just send an event and just tag that validation. So that way you could have like a marketplace where people just can carry around and just test and check and review the different validations forever to use.
Yeah, and also provide sort of a code relay or code archive where we guarantee that validator messages are always going to be served, for instance, in order to have a measure of guaranteed availability. And lastly, and in the long run, we're looking at services like code audit for validators, certifications in the Nostr protocol itself. Like once you've gone through the whole documentation and courses that we're going to develop, you get a certification that, yeah, sure, you know Nostr.
You know, fully, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
exactly.
And finally, we're looking for sponsorships, like in the sense that we want to sponsor developers, and we're going to sponsor local hackathons, as we mentioned at the very beginning of the talk. We're going to sponsor local hackathons, local development of Nostr-based solutions.
And you can have as well some sponsorship in the marketplace. So if you say, I don't know, you are another blockchain that wants to come and creates another validation that it's that you want to become available for the users to use. So you could just sponsor that. So it's another, like, I don't know, another service you could do.
Yeah. And well,
wrapping up,
we propose to have methods for rapid ramp up of new Nostr users, specifically local ones, and we want to take documentation to the next level, so to speak. We also propose for general usage, community targeted NIPs, and we are betting really hard on the validators NIP. We do believe this to be a game-changing proposal. The amount of possibilities that it enables is huge. It's truly, truly huge. The more you think about it, the more potential applications appear. And finally, we are kind of driving all this towards trying to build a meta-consensus architecture, so to speak, via validators. We want to drive the whole Nostr consensus, meta-consensus apparatus towards the community. That's it.
That's it. Well, thank you all for your attention, and you can ask us whatever you like.
Anything.
Yeah. Thank you guys
Thank
for the amazing presentation and the amount of information you guys given, and also for the interesting projects. So I've tried to comprehend every word you guys say on these projects, and I want to start by me. I'm just eager to ask some questions for these projects, for this amazing work. And one of my first question, which is how do you guys plan to implement the NIPs and just their functionalities, or how you guys did it?
Do you want me to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the NIPs, actually, all those NIPs are already just written. They took what?
You can go.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Go there.
Yeah, of course. So here in the link with N.O.M.A.D, we got N.O.M.A.D.lacrypta, which it has all the documentation with all those NIPs. Those NIPs are already written, fully written, including the validation and including the first VIP, which is the one that
specifies
JavaScript language, which is the one that we think will be the mostly used, because it's the easiest way to implement it in a client, actually.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna go for WebAssembly and another language. Anybody is open to propose another implementation and capabilities as well. Of course, like the HTTP or whatever you like, if you want to connect to a blockchain or whatever, you will have like capabilities which are like functionalities exported for the verification code. So we do have another project, which is huddle.r, and another one that's run by the community. So all those things are gonna be tested in-house. So some of these NIPs are already being implemented in another clients. That's another project, but yeah, the point is we're gonna provide an SDK to be able to use all those tools that are already described and spec. And we're gonna provide as well, like we mentioned, some support for another current clients, some pull requests for they able to implement those stuff.
Did that answer your question, Isaac?
Yeah, I think it's answered very well. So my second question was like, how will ping pong events increase the user encouragement and the interactions?
Well, the idea is that within a normally sort of high latency communication, where I post a message and then you see it and you post a message back, you could add like a more low latency layer to it via ping pong events. I can just ping you or send you some quick note, for instance. Think about like more real-time messaging, not necessarily messages, but just, you know, generic events, generic pings, so to speak.
Actually, I'm sorry, another use case that you could use like ping pong would be like, I've seen a lot of stuff going on with serverless functionality. So that happens is like both two users without any server, they just have a relay in common. So sometimes if you need to catch up with the other user or just notice if he's not the other way, you could just use these kind of events. We don't have any need that solve this.
Yeah, I totally get that. So and also I have another question, which is like you guys interested me in that, which is like how will multi-languages external identities make Nostr like more inclusive and accessible?
Well, again, on the one hand, the only user-facing string that is prescribed by an NIP is hard-coded in English. Again, as we were mentioning at the very beginning, the fact that we can be here sustaining a conversation in somewhat good English with you, it's a complete exception. Like the vast majority of people, at least here in Argentina, are not able to do this. It's a very sad reality, but it's our reality. And asking them to just trust you, hey, trust me, it's just your pull key, it's just a message or just whatever, that adds unnecessary friction. And there's no real need for that string to be specifically in English. And on the other hand, this kind of sets a precedent moving forward that we should keep localization and the multicultural aspect of a globally distributed network, we should keep that in mind in the future. That's the main idea.
And actually, I'm sorry, but the most of the things that we're proposing are kind of needs of the community. Actually, we tested themselves. Our community is running a hackathon, and we're gonna make another one here with the Nostr community. So what most people have, even though we are planning to make English lessons that we're gonna provide, and we think that programming should be in English, of course, we think that. But I think that to be able to Nostr become massive, or at least to be able to compete with any other social network, you should be able to be multilingual. Any other cultural like openness should be embraced.
Yeah, guys, and also like, what's the benefits or the challenges of using immutable badges on Nostr? Just for my last question.
Well, again, this was something that that came from our already existing Web3 community. They are very fond of their badges, and the fact that they are immutable is actually an asset. And when we looked at Nostr, oh, sure, we have badges in Nostr, yet they are mutable. And that loses the charm, so to speak, for our already existing users. There's a very real, very genuine need that arises from actually having access to a different take on perhaps the same functionality. So immutable badges would allow us to satisfy that need without being overly disruptive to the already existing badges infrastructure in Nostr.
I think N.O.M.A.D is a very ambitious and interesting project that also aims to revolutionize the Nostr through a series of innovative NIPs. I also appreciate the vision and the creativity you guys made on the projects and its goals. However, I'm just curious about how the project will handle the technical and the social aspects and of implementing the NIPs. For example, like how you will guys ensure the capability and of the NIPs with the existing Nostr clients, like and the servers.
Cool. Thanks for asking that. Actually, one of the steps, let me review that. The second step of the roadmap is actually raising PRs to the clients. We're gonna get to the Snort code, the Snort code base, and say, hey guys, here's a PR that will implement validators, for instance. And we're going to work with the community and with the existing implementations in order to help this very ambitious project actually happen.
Yeah, it is worth to mention that we do have an active community with more than 600 members actually right now, with a lot of developers that are wanting and eager to start developing, contribute. Yeah. So they are creating their own clients. We created a boilerplate for them to just start programming. So yeah, and just, I don't know if we mentioned this, but if we got to say with the roadmap, we could probably be like here, right? Like in the third one, kind of.
A bit in a bit.
A bit in a minute. We made the interactive documentation. We've got a framework actually running now, but we do have like not only the knowledge, we maybe use like the hackathon prize if we win, I don't know, but we would use those resources to continue with this roadmap.
Yeah, just one question. It came right now on my mind, which is like how you guys are gonna deal with the potential conflicts and despite the amounts of users and validators.
I'm sorry, how, come again?
Like how are you gonna deal with the potential conflicts? When, for example, the amounts of users and validators gonna work on the gonna contribute.
Well, keep in mind that each validator is an event in and of itself. So different versions of a validator would have different event IDs. And those are the ones you use to reference a validator. So let's say you write a validator, okay? And you write it, you just send an event with the code in the content. I really like that validator. It's a cool validator, but I would just need to tweak a couple of values. Now, when I do that, the event ID of that second validator, my validator, would have changed completely. It would be a completely different event. And there's already a precedent for this sort of things with, for instance, EVM smart contracts. Once you deploy a contract, it stays deployed. It lives in the blockchain. And if you change that contract, and even if you don't change that contract, you just send it under another key, it will get a completely new address. Validators are somewhat like that, are actually exactly like that. Once you publish a validator, it will always have the same ID, and you can always refer to that same ID. And that's actually a feature, because that allows us to be very loosely coupled, but at the same time, agree on having sort of a quote unquote impartial third party do the validation for us, and we can agree on what that ID is going to be and be certain that the code will never change.
I will just say something about this, just if we can just express our vision of this. I think like the most common thing would happen is like users will create their validators for themselves. Like, I don't know, maybe they say, okay, I don't know, I don't want messages that include any swear words or whatever, or someone just creates kind of a blockchain that all the messages or blocks need to be have a voucher from other users. I don't know. So what would happen is like the dashboard, if that was what you were asking about, would be as simple as just retrieving all the events of kind validator, and you just get all those events queried from a relay. Actually, we're gonna have an archive relay for this, and you could have like, give me all the validators from this user. They don't need our authorization. They could be, you can have a review system or star system or whatever you like, but it would be like an open sandbox where everybody can just create their own validators. Even if you just create a new NIP or NIP, no, sorry, a new kind. Maybe you say, instead of creating a new kind, I'm going to create a validator that what the code says is validates the event that needs to comply with this specific schema. So that could be a validator itself, and it could be a NIP if you would like. So it could be just the stepping stone for a NIP, actually, because if people start using it, you could say, okay, this is popular enough, or it's a relevant need.
So I just wonder, can you measure the success of the or the impact of this project?
I think it could be, I don't know if we've done it, or I don't know, but
we don't want to toot our own horn, but we do believe this to be a very powerful enabling technology. So
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, the thing is that this opens the door to a whole new way of developing for Nostr and within Nostr, and not only developing, but actually driving the community around the specification. As we mentioned, we want to sort of decouple the application layer from the protocol layer.
Exactly.
So that more people can get access to the application layer and can actually make a change.
Yeah. I also think the project can explain more about the benefits and the challenges of using immutable badges in Nostr. So if I had the possibility to give you a bit of feedbacks or suggestions for the project. So this is all my questions. I'm sorry if I was like a burden for more questions. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
also.
I'm coming. Say hi. I'm sure. Hi guys. I'm sure. I'm head of the Yakicoin. I'm the head of Yakicoin. Yes. As very glad I actually listen to whole the workshops. I'm very glad that you guys do the things. Respect for that. I think it's more serious about the builders. I think it's more serious, and it's very impressive. It's very impressive. We host all the hackathons almost 1 month, okay, but we don't find any other project like you guys. You have 3-4 projects. It's fantastic. Yes, I have some questions, but I choose leaving them to the demo days.
Thank you for the. I'm just gonna pass you to Yufu. So Yufu, do you have anything to say?
Yeah,
No,
I also gonna say thank you.
But thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate you feel our passion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we,
it is.
yeah,
It
yes, we
is,
do.
very, very, very deep, and it's a lot of. I can tell you have a lot of insights in the N.O.M.A.D, in the whole Nostra ecosystem. So I was really looking for your demo day, and if possible, really looking for you do another workshops about relay about your client. I think that would be super cool also.
Yeah, we had 2 more coming on, so stay prepared.
Yeah, that's way better. Let's talk about it the whole day.
They also one thing I like about you guys. It's like you have the same passion from the Argentina football and the development. So you have the same, you guys share the same passion. So yeah.
Yeah, better targeted perhaps.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, better targeted. Yeah, it's okay.
At least this is productive, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna see you guys at the demo day, Sunday. I think 11 - 3 p.m.
Yeah, exactly.
AM.
Yeah, we're gonna really schedule. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think 11 a.m. is better. Is
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely.
can you close up?
okay. No, I'm
Thank you very
already
much,
in
guys.
May 4th. May 4th. I'm already in May 4th. You're still in May 3.
Yeah.
May 3rd.
We live in the
3rd of
past.
May. 4th of May.
Tomorrow is tomorrow is Star Wars Day. Yeah.
So you
Okay. I think this is all for today. Really, thanks, guys, Augustine and Marina.
Okay, thank
Right.
you all.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. See you.
Yeah,
See you on demo day.
See you guys for the next.
Bye bye.
Thank you. See you
Bye-bye.
demo day.
Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye.
Session.
See you soon.